Since 2015, Jared Stillman has rocked Nashville sports.
That team freaking stinks.
And now he's back. The takes are hotter than ever.
I mean, let's be honest, he just can't coach.
Welcome to Stillman and Company.
Stillman & Company on the 440 Sports Network is presented by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Here on the program on YouTube at Stillman & Company. Like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. Once again, like and subscribe to Stillman & Company. Let's get those numbers up as we enter 2026, the year of Stillman & Company. At least that's what I'm told it's going to be. First off the top, I do want to address yesterday because obviously I was not on the air. So around 10 o'clock or so, we had our Christmas dinner. Lindsay's family was in town over the weekend. We had our Christmas dinner and Christmas gifts and everything else on Sunday night. And around 10 o'clock, I looked at Lindsay and I was like, does your stomach hurt? And she was like, kind of a little bit. I don't know. And at about 11, I was sitting there just heaving and was heaving so loud that Lindsay's parents sleeping downstairs came upstairs and were like, are you okay? And that continued throughout the entire night. And it was like, I would try to drink water and then I'd throw that up. So I was chewing on ice chips. And yesterday I had to get an IV. Because I woke up and every muscle in my body was sore yesterday, on top of the fact that I couldn't hold down any liquids or any food or anything. So I had to chew on ice chips. And I was like, okay, enough's enough. And so I'm feeling better today. So thank you again, Nevada Josh, who said, hope you're feeling better. Yes, I was. So make of that what you will. But today's going to be, I think this may be our only show this week. Maybe I'll do one on Friday. I don't know. I think this is going to kind of be our Titans Monday, plus kind of what all's going on over the course of the week with the Titans and everything else. And of course, we have to start with Cam Ward's game on Sunday, because even though I was sick yesterday, that does not mean that I wasn't on Twitter. And boy, on Titans Twitter, you people, and you know who you people are, you people were all fired up. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my God, did you see the game Cam Ward had? Cam Ward is awesome. We told him, we knew it. Cam's the man. Cam's the best franchise quarterback. Let me say this. Cam Ward played his best game of the season on Sunday against the Chiefs. I put that in quotations because while it was the Chiefs, it wasn't really the Chiefs, but that's okay. And I'm not knocking that. I am not discounting that this was his best performance. This game and the Seattle game, I think, kind of sit there alone as Cam's two best games of his rookie year. That said, the Twitterverse has gotten completely and totally carried away with this weird belief that now, because of what happened on Sunday, that Cam Ward hasn't had a disappointing season as the number one pick who was brought in to save the franchise. Or that Cam Ward is now all of a sudden on the right track to become a great franchise quarterback. And I'm here to say, slow down. Again, these are all the people that have said to me, you can't have for sure opinion on Cam Ward 13 games into the season, that now take one game and say, franchise quarterback. And it's weird how every time Cam Ward does something special, and Cam Ward does have that backyard football ability to make some really wow highlight reel level plays. And that goes back to his tape at Miami. But every time Cam Ward has that kind of play, it gets absolutely blown up on Twitter. Like, oh my God, did you see what Cam Ward did? For instance, the throw to Chim DK on Sunday, the touchdown against the Rams to Alec Manor, the throw to Chigakonkwo at the end of the Texan game. But none of the horrible plays that Cam has made consistently throughout the course of the year, like the pick six to start the game against the Colts, or the ball in the hands of the 49ers defensive back last week, or the miss to Gunnar Helm on fourth down on Sunday, none of those get blown up on Twitter the same way with all these Twitter scout coaches saying, oh my God, look at how great Cam is. They all count the same. The amazing plays Cam can make count the same as the pick six to start the game against the Colts. I never doubted that Cam Ward had the ability to make special backyard football. You can't coach that kind of plays. Again, that's what he did in college. But those plays happen once every couple of weeks. The issue with Cam Ward is the throws that he needs to make every couple of drives and he misses because he's inaccurate aren't getting better on a consistent basis. That didn't change from 2 weeks ago to today. And it won't change until the offseason when Cam completely overhauls his mechanics. And that is if they ever will change. And yet yesterday, I saw the Titans Twitter sphere come completely unglued about how great Cam Ward is and how great Cam Ward is going to be because he finally played a decent game. And how there is now no room for context or nuance, and just everybody needs to accept that everything that these boo-hoo Cam Ward crew guys have believed, that he's going to be a franchise quarterback, that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes, is now true because he played well against a Chiefs team that had nothing to play for the first time in over a decade. That's it. And again, I thought Cam played well. But if Cam was a stock, I would have loved what happened on Sunday. Because then as the prices start to rise and rise and rise, with all the Twitter clowns making such a big deal about how that game was, I would have shorted more of it. Again, Kansas City had nothing to play for. Half of their team was inactive. Patrick Mahomes wasn't even in the state of Tennessee. This is a team that was a preseason Super Bowl favorite who showed up to Nissan Stadium with no path mathematically to the playoffs. And you think they all count the same? Again, I thought Cam played well. But Titans Twitter was obsessed with how this game proved that Cam is, in fact, the man. Cam Ward is the future of the Titans. Cam Ward is the franchise quarterback that we told you he was going to be, Jared. And yet Blake Bedingfield, the former Titans director of college scouting at paulkaharski.com, did not see that. Writing at paulkaharski.com, quote, Ward was not good on third downs early in the game. He is consistently late on throws, waiting for someone to come open. Teams have realized that late linebacker blitzes confuse Ward. He feels the late pressure and gets stuck between making a quick check down throw or running. Patience in the pocket will come with more experience. And finally saying, deep ball accuracy is still not where it needs to be for Ward. Again, he is late getting the ball off and usually overshoots receivers. So that's a scout who's watching the game, who is saying, hey, Cam did some nice things in this game. Team played well, but these issues that Cam Ward had last week still exist this week. And I just think a lot of you people don't want to hear that. That is a totally different assessment than what I feel like a lot of you people are getting out there, which is, oh my God, Cam Ward's the best. We beat the Chiefs. Again, that wasn't the Chiefs that were out there on the field. Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, when they won, 27-3 in 2021, that was the Chiefs. Malik Willis on the road, Sunday Night Football in overtime. I don't know how Vrabel pulled that out of his ass. The Chiefs. This was not the Chiefs. But what had happened is a lot of the Cam boys had to bottle up that he's Mahomes, Jared, because every week Cam was proving to us that he was not Mahomes. They had to bottle that up. They had to hold it inside. They couldn't just come out and say it because Cam wasn't doing anything to prove it. So they bottled that up for weeks, and they held in check their belief in Cam with the daily Cam Ward excuses that absolved him of any blame or acknowledging that he might not be the superstar quarterback. And as soon as Cam had that game against the Chiefs, in which he threw for 228 yards, it got completely unbottled, unleashed with no ramifications. As soon as Ward had a decent game, again, against a team that started the year with Super Bowl aspirations, who had nothing to play for without their star quarterback. Half of their team was inactive. Give me a break. Cam played well. And I'd like to see Cam continue to play well. I thought the offensive game plan, getting the ball into the hands of the guys who can run, Io Manor, Chigakonkwo, Chim DK, Tajay Spears. I think that's a good idea. I think what needs to be figured out by all you Twitter gurus out there that are so smart with the film, somebody needs to explain to me why the Titans all of a sudden can run the ball. Because Tony Pollard's running the ball for 100 yards a game right now. What happened? Explain that to me. They couldn't run for shit a couple of weeks ago, and now they're running for 100 a game? Somebody explain that to me. So that's the first thing. Now, I want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They are the proud presenting sponsor of this program. I am proud to have them on board. I've been with Hiller for so long, so many years. We have had Hiller on my program supporting me, and that's why I love them. Hiller's been in business since 1990. They are family owned and operated with the 100% of satisfaction of happy you'll be, the service is free. If a customer is not pleased with the work performed, Hiller will make it right. You can learn more at happyhiller.com. Again, that's where I book when I use Hiller, as I go right there to happyhiller.com. Professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians who come into your home and they leave it clean and better than they found it. And again, I know this because I use Hiller at my home. Care is their core value, and they believe that when they care about others, everybody wins, and they'll take care of the customer on every job, every time. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the National Predators, the Vanderbilt Commodores, and the Tennessee Volunteers. That's Hiller, my guys. Call the Happy Face Truck today. Okay, so the second thing I want to get to, while all you people out there are just talking and talking and talking and talking about the fact that Cam Ward is getting much better this season, that through the last 6 games, Cam has 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. And wow, look at this 90 passer rating he's got for the last couple of games. Cam is turning the corner. I'm not sure I believe that. But one thing that is true is that Cam is playing ball better than he played at the beginning of the season and in the middle part of the season. And I think a large portion of that has to do with Cam not turning the football over, even though he tried to at San Francisco. But I'll say this for you people out there, because I know you don't want to hear this. If you keep hyping up Cam Ward's improvement, there is a chance Mike McCoy is going to be the head coach of the Titans next season. Again, I know you don't want to hear that. But I'm starting to see a possibility. I'm starting to see a path where Mike McCoy can retain the head coaching position. I have seen the videos the Titans have put on social media where the team is all happy and everybody's energized and everybody's clapping and everybody's having a good time. I see the reports that the fan media is putting out there about why Darnold Wilson should be on the coaching staff next year, even though we don't know who the head coach is going to be. If Robert Saleh is the head coach, it would make no sense to keep Darnold Wilson. People are saying Bones Fossil should be on the coaching staff no matter what. There's no way to guarantee that, because if you go hire John Harbaugh, for instance, who's been coaching for 20 years, he probably knows who he wants to be his special teams coach. So they see you guys get excited about things like that. Then They see the offense start to make a little bit of progress. Bo Hardigree's calling the plays. If they replace the coordinator, it'll be a whole new system. It'll be a whole new terminology. It'll be a whole new, now we got to go get new players. Now we got to, what's the one thing that keeps that from happening? Mike McCoy remaining the head coach. And I don't know what the relationship between Mike McCoy and Amy Adams Strunk is, because really nobody knows what is going on in Amy Adams Strunk's head or even what she does nowadays. But Amy has hired 3 coaches since she became the controlling owner of the Tennessee Titans in 2015. And only one of them, Mike Mularkey, a veteran interim coach, was truly her choice. I don't remember exactly how many open jobs there were before the 2016 season, but I can promise you, none of those other jobs were considering Mike Mularkey. You hired him. Mike McCoy checks the same boxes that Mike Mularkey did. He's been a successful coordinator. He's been a head coach in the NFL. He's a veteran guy. He won't demand a big salary. He won't demand a 5-year contract. And that will help while they still have to pay everybody else off. And they can have the built-in story of Cam progressed at the end of the season, and we believe in Mike McCoy and Bo Hardigree's plan for Cam. We do not want to disrupt Cam's growth. And what happened at the end of the year under McCoy and under Hardigree is what we want to continue going into 2026. Again, that's not what I'm saying I would do if I owned the team, but it is me trying to project what the owner will do. And the Titans have absolutely made it clear that they want somebody who has been a head coach before. Again, they say that they won't rule out somebody who hasn't been a head coach. They haven't explicitly said that they wouldn't hire a first-time guy. But Brian Callahan was so in over his head that I believe there is no shot that they will go that route. And the Titans, never known for excessive spending, are currently paying John Robinson, Rand Carthon, and Brian Callahan to not work. That adds up pretty quickly. So if there are multiple teams out there that want an experienced coach like Mike McCarthy, there will be a bidding war for Mike McCarthy. You think the Titans are going to get into a bidding war for a coach? No shot. And then there's the fact that Amy has done this before. In 2016, it was Amy who wanted Mike Mularkey to be the head coach because Amy was comfortable with Mike Mularkey. John Robinson was brought on board as general manager. He didn't know Mike Mularkey. He didn't want to keep Mike Mularkey. He did it because he wanted the general manager job. So he had to work with Mike Mularkey. But it was Amy who wanted Mike Mularkey to be the coach. And I think now we can look back on it. And I know that, again, you people went all crazy about Mike Mularkey and really, I thought, treated him very unfairly as coach of the Titans. That fucking guy won games. Like, he won. He was 9-7 a year after inheriting the worst team in the league. 9-7, and then 9-7, went to the playoffs, won a playoff game, and you guys acted like he was some moron. Like, oh, you guys are so smart. You know, just the bastion of football knowledge here in Nashville, Tennessee. Mike Mularkey was a good coach. So I think we've had enough time to be able to look back on that. And instead of saying, oh, Mike Mularkey was stuck in 1980s football, or instead of saying, Mike Mularkey was holding Marcus Mariota back, we can all look at the Mike Mularkey experience for what it was. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't, but he was a good ball coach. And he hired a veteran staff full of guys that all knew how to teach young players how to win. Guys like Russ Grimm and Dick LeBeau and Sylvester Croom that came in here and, again, taught these young players, the Byards, the Lawans, the Henrys, the Mariotas, the Corey Davises, how to win. And I'm not saying that Mike McCoy is Mike Mularkey, because, again, they're two very different people. I don't know Mike McCoy well enough to tell you whether or not he's a good coach or would be a good coach without the interim tag. I don't know him well enough. I don't know his coaching ability, what his staff would look like. I don't know any of that. But I do see Amy looking at the fact that the Mularkey decision was one based out of comfort, and it was a veteran coach that she felt like knew what he was doing, and that is what propelled the organization into winning, and I can see her doing that again. And let's also not forget that when it comes to the money, Mike McCoy is not going to demand the type of salary that other coaches may demand. Ben Johnson makes a fortune with the Chicago Bears. Not that there is a Ben Johnson on the coaching market this year, but the Tennessee Titans are not paying Ben Johnson money. They never have, and they never will. Well, you don't have to pay that kind of money when it comes to Mike McCoy. And they are still building a stadium. And they have told everybody, from Adam Schefter to Kevin Harlan to anybody that'll listen, that they're going to spend a gazillion dollars on free agents next year. So I'm just telling you, I think there is a chance that if this thing keeps going in the direction it's going, and you people keep saying, wow, look at Cam's improvement, and wow, we got to keep Bones Fossil on the staff, and wow, look at the run game, and wow, look at the culture, and wow, look at the team. If you keep saying that stuff and you keep seeing that stuff, I think there's a chance Mike McCoy is going to be the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Now, look, I wouldn't hire Mike McCoy, but I also don't hate Mike McCoy as much as many of you do, especially Paul Kaharski and Easton Freeze, who opined that Mike McCoy should be fired as interim head coach a couple of weeks ago. And if given a head coaching job, I do think Mike McCoy would do things differently than they're doing them now with him as an interim coach. I think he would do things differently than Brian Callahan did. But the one thing that I will say that I think is obvious in the 2 months that Mike McCoy has been the interim head coach of the Tennessee Titans is that Mike McCoy is great at going along to get along. And in Amy's world, with the son-in-law, with Burke Nihill, with Adolfo Birch, with Chad Brinker, with Mike Borgonzi, with a new stadium, I think they want go along to get along. They don't want Mike Vrabel. They want Mike McCoy. And so I think there's a chance that if this thing keeps going in this direction, if these narratives keep coming out that, oh, Cam has improved, and oh, look at this, and oh, look at that, and oh, look at the camaraderie of the team, and oh, look at how they didn't quit, and oh, look at the... I think there's a chance they can talk themselves into Mike McCoy as the head coach. And I know you people will hate that. So be happy for these wins because they are killing your draft position. But hey, they feel good at the moment. But just know the better they play, the easier it will be for Amy to justify keeping Mike McCoy on as the head coach. And while, again, I don't hate Mike McCoy, and I think you can do a lot worse than Mike McCoy, I know you people, and you people will absolutely hate it. That's the second thing. The third thing, I'd like to congratulate Jeffery Simmons and Chimere Dike. Both have been named to the Pro Bowl games, and they both deserve it. Before we crap on the Pro Bowl games, I would like to point out that I think there is a big difference between being named to the Pro Bowl on a day like today and going to the Pro Bowl because 64 other guys dropped out. And I really wish there was kind of a demarcation for those kind of guys. Instead, when you pull up somebody's page, it just says 8-time Pro Bowler. It doesn't say 7 times replace the 6 other guys who declined to go. And I hate that. Because what happens is somebody gets named to the Pro Bowl and we say, oh, well, who cares about the Pro Bowl? And I get it. Nobody cares about the actual Pro Bowl games. But on a day like today, you have been named an All-Star. And there are only a limited amount of All-Stars that are named. And that's what today is. I mean, by the end of this thing, the Titans could have 15 Pro Bowlers. Simmons and DK. And I mean, why not send Johnny Hecker? Because I guess he's punted pretty well. And Skoronski at left guard could be a Pro Bowler. And Chig could be a Pro Bowler. And Tony Pollard could be a Pro Bowler. And Cam could be a Pro Bowler. And I mean, hell, we may get to the point to where Jalen Armour Davis is making the Pro Bowl. But for right now, it matters to be named a Pro Bowler. There's only 4 receivers in each conference that today are named Pro Bowlers. Only 3 quarterbacks. So today, the initial Pro Bowl roster, that's when it matters. And in this case, both Simmons and DK are Pro Bowlers, signaling that they have had the best seasons at their position in their conferences. Which leads me to Jeffery Simmons. I'm going to take a little credit for Jeffery Simmons having the season that he's had. Now, he deserves pretty much all of the credit, but he was on a mission this offseason. And that included Jeffery Simmons putting out a motivational video, which included a fake quote from me in it. Jeffery Simmons has talked a lot of talk, and I'm going to give Jeffery Simmons his due. Because over the last couple of years, I saw a Jeffery Simmons who acted entitled, who was arrogant, and who talked the talk, but did not back it up on Sundays by walking the walk. Jeffery Simmons has always been a good player, but Jeffery Simmons wasn't the game-changing player that he was being paid to be. We saw it in the 2021 season. Then he got hurt in 22, and he wasn't that impact player in 23 and 24. And yet Simmons kept making excuses, getting mad every time people like me would bring up the fact that where is he sacking the quarterback? Where is he pressuring the quarterback? Where is he wrecking the game? You people want to compare him to Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald wrecks the game. Where's Jeffery Simmons wrecking the game? And he would make the excuses, saying that, well, he's getting double teamed, or, well, teams game plan for him, or, well, it's everybody else's fault. And I kept saying, I don't care about that, because great players play great no matter what. You think J.J. Watt didn't get game planned against or double teamed? You think teams, when they get set to play the Minnesota Vikings, just say, you know what, let's let Justin Jefferson do whatever he wants to do at wide receiver? No. The best players get double teamed, and the best players beat double teams. And Simmons wasn't doing that. And I kept saying, you can talk all you want to talk, but you've got to go out on the field and prove it on Sundays. And don't give me excuses. Do not give me excuses for why you're not affecting the quarterback. You are paid $23.5 million to go get the quarterback. Now, damn it, go get him. And I'm here to say this season, Jeffery Simmons has proven the doubters, led by me, wrong. And Jeffery Simmons deserves credit for that. And you may think that it's hard for me to do, to give Jeffery Simmons credit, but quite frankly, it's the opposite. It's very easy to do. He went out there on the field. He earned it. He proved it this year. And this team sucks so bad that it doesn't matter that Jeffery Simmons is playing the way he's playing, and it's not going to help them win many more games. But that doesn't take away from what he's done this year as an individual player. That's easy for me to do. To acknowledge that a guy that, again, I've been challenging and saying, there's more there. If you're so good, go out and produce. And this year he went out and he produced. That's easy. to sit there and say, congratulations, you stepped up and you paid what you owed. And you belong in the Pro Bowl. What's hard for me to do is to have to deal with all the Titans Twitter film gurus who try to make excuses for Simmons or back up the excuses that Simmons is already making, or listen to the coaches like Brian Callahan and Denard Wilson give us dissertations on how to rush the passer. We all know how teams rush the quarterback. Great players. And I think we've seen the turning of the corner as far as Jeffery Simmons is concerned. Because this season, Jeffery Simmons changed agents and went away from the guy I know who I'm buddies with to Todd France, who is a real agent with a big-time firm. He represents Dak Prescott. That is a big boy business decision, and Simmons made it. We saw Simmons lose the weight. And when Simmons lost the weight and showed up to camp, I said, you know what? Simmons is tired of hearing all the talk that he doesn't get sacks and he doesn't affect the quarterback. So Simmons said, screw it. I'm going to get leaner and I'm going to go after the quarterback. He has gone from a DT to a D end. He's a 3-4 D end. That's what he is. And he's done it. And this year, in spite of everything bad that has happened to this club, Simmons has continued to play and play and play. And I give him credit for that. And he seems to have responded well. Now, is it the motivation of getting the respect that he deserves as a great player? Which, again, this year he's been a great player. Or is it the fact that this is the last year of real money on his contract and he wants more money on his contract in the future? I don't know. But what I will say is he absolutely has been one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL. He absolutely belongs in the Pro Bowl. And I mean, again, the real Pro Bowl roster when it comes out, which signifies that you are an all-star, not who actually shows up to play tug of war and bourrée at the Pro Bowl games. This year, the coaches haven't had to make excuses for Jeffery Simmons because Jeffery Simmons has produced. And when you make the money he makes, that is the expectation. But he does deserve to be congratulated for it. And I hope he ends up as a first-team All-Pro. I haven't watched the other defensive tackles enough to know who's the best defensive tackle or who's the... But I hope he ends up as a first-team All-Pro this year because he has played well enough. And with that, I will say, I'm proud of the minor part I played in helping motivate Simmons to get to this point. And because Simmons put out a video with a fake quote from me in it, you cannot say that I wasn't part of the motivating factor behind Jeffery Simmons' success. All right, let's get to some of your reaction here on the program. The distinguished gentleman says, some of us remember someone saying he sucked. No, I did not. I never said Jeffery Simmons sucked. In fact, in Jeffery Simmons' video, he said that I said that he stinks. And I went and I was looking for that day. I went looking for that tweet of me saying Simmons stinks, which is what Simmons put out there, that I said that he said that. And then the more we looked into it, the more it looked like something that ChatGPT made. With my picture with a quote that said Simmons stinks. I never said that. And that was in his motivational video. So when you say, don't take credit for that, I was in the motivational video. I get credit. Sorry. And that day, when Simmons put out that video, I said on my show, I go, Simmons, you want to prove the haters wrong and you want to talk about how we're mean to you and you want to go fucking produce. Don't like it? Play better. And this year, he's played better. Give me a break. I've been on Simmons' ass. But I never said he sucked. I never said he stunk, which is what he said that I said, and I didn't say that. Simmons. By the way, Simmons has me blocked on social media, and yet everything that I've said about him somehow ends up in front of him. Look, man, I'm happy for Jeffery Simmons. The one thing I will say is Don't make me get back on that ass because I will. Unbelievable. I'm giving Simmons credit for the fact that his play has shut the questions up of why doesn't Simmons pressure the quarterback more? Why doesn't Simmons sack the quarterback more? Why doesn't Simmons? We're not doing that this year. You know why? Because he is pressuring the quarterback, because he is sacking the quarterback, because he is having an impact every time we watch the game. My buddy played in the big leagues, and he said that when he was in the minor leagues, the one thing that you always heard whenever you complained was, don't like it, play better. Oh, you don't like the PB&Js and A-ball? Play better, and you'll go to AA, and they'll feed you better. Oh, you don't like it, the fact that you're in AAA and you have to ride the bus to every city? Play better. And then you'll get to the majors, and you'll get to fly charter everywhere, and you'll get to stay at the nice hotels, and everything is catered, and you get $100 a day meal money. Oh, that guy makes $23 million a year and you don't? Don't like it? Play better. And that's the thing I've said about Simmons with if you're going to have to sit there and make excuses for why you don't sack the quarterback, and you say, go talk to the coaches and tell them to watch the film and tell them about how they game plan for me, and I'm the reason this and I'm the reason that. You don't like it? Go play better. And this year, Simmons played better. And I give him credit. Now, let's get back in to your reaction. George says, suck my ass, Cam haters, as the team sits at 3-12. I mean, look, the Cam lovers, the Cam boys, they got a Christmas gift. Kansas City barely showed up on Sunday. Cam did play well, but this team is 3-12 and they need major surgery. And I think we can all agree that. Adam in Portland says, Merry Christmas. You're also full of shit. Cam has played 12 games against the top 11 defenses. You just want to be right about this, but you're not right about this. He has gotten a lot better. I wonder if Adam in Portland also commented on the idea of Mike McCoy being the next head coach of the Titans, because the more you guys talk about how Cam's gotten better, the more that it's going to persuade Amy, in my opinion, to want to keep Mike McCoy on as the full-time head coach. Because if Mike McCoy stays on as the full-time head coach, Bones Fossil can stay on as the special teams coach. Bo Hardigree can be promoted to offensive coordinator, because that's pretty much what he is anyways, and they're going to fire Nick Holtz. So Mike McCoy will bring his own coaches in here. In fact, I'll take a look at the 2016 Chargers coaching staff, because that would give you an idea as to who they might want to bring in on their coaching staff, you know, if McCoy were to take over. Let's see. Offensive coordinator, Ken Wisenhunt. Don't think he will be joining the team. This is actually pretty crazy. I've got in front of me Mike McCoy's final coaching staff with the Chargers. Wisenhunt is OC. Shane Steichen, quarterbacks coach. Nick Sirianni, wide receivers coach. Tommy Reese, offensive assistant. Craig Aukerman, special teams coordinator. Holy fucking shit. Craig Aukerman? Wow. Wow. This is crazy. John Pagano, defensive coordinator. Griff Smith, defensive line coach, whoever that is. Bob Babich, linebackers. I believe that is the defensive coordinator now of the Buffalo Bills. If I am not mistaken. Oh, you know what? I think this might be his dad. I think this might be his dad, like the Bob Babich Sr. And then Bobby Babich, I guess, is the son. He was the linebackers coach. Bobby King, linebackers coach. He was here under Vrabel. Ron Mullis, defensive backs. Don't know who the fuck he is. Chris Harris, assistant defensive backs. He was on the staff under Vrabel and last year under Callahan, and then left, and he's now the interim coordinator, I think, of the Jets. Chris Shula was defensive quality control. The Chris Shula, who is now a hot candidate as the defensive coordinator of the Rams. And then Craig Aukerman as special teams coordinator. So I could see Mike McCoy going to Amy and saying, hey, I'll keep Bo Hardegree on the staff as the offensive coordinator and play caller. Let me go get my own quarterbacks coach. Again, that coaching staff, like we can laugh at Craig Aukerman and shit like that. Shane Steichen quarterbacks, Nick Sirianni wide receivers. Dave DeGuglielmo was the offensive line coach. He is now the offensive line coach, I believe, at Stanford. So he could come in here and be the line coach, although Belichick fired him. But what the hell does Belichick know? I mean, there are some guys on this list that, hey, maybe bring in Tommy Reese as the, if they all get fired in Cleveland, bring him in as the quarterback guy. I could see it. You guys keep talking, and you're going to end up with Mike McCoy as your head coach. For whatever that's worth. Too funny. The distinguished gentleman says Bones must be retained at all costs. So does that mean that you would keep Mike McCoy if, let's say, the name John Harbaugh has become very popular because they probably aren't going to make the playoffs in Baltimore. And Sunday night was coaching malpractice on the part of John Harbaugh. I'm watching Derrick Henry just crack Mike Vrabel's ass on Sunday, and I'm enjoying every second of it. You guys don't know this, but I do. Mike Vrabel never truly appreciated Derrick Henry. Forget about what Mike Vrabel said in the public. I'm telling you, Mike Vrabel never truly appreciated Derrick Henry. Mike Vrabel always thought, and this shouldn't surprise anybody, that Mike Vrabel was the reason that Mike Vrabel was successful, and not because Derrick Henry was carrying Mike Vrabel to success. And so Derrick Henry is on the Ravens, and he is just running all over the Patriots, runs in a 20-yard touchdown. Drake Maye fires back. And now all of a sudden, John Harbaugh takes Derrick Henry out of the game. And this is with Lamar Jackson hurt. So he's taking his best player off the field. Again, I understand Phil Jackson drawing up a play for Tony Kukoc when Michael Jordan wasn't on the team. But I wouldn't understand Phil Jackson taking Scotty off the court. And that's what Harbaugh did on Sunday night. And so Harbaugh's name has become mentioned very strongly as, maybe it's time for him and the Ravens. I don't think, by the way, he will get fired in Baltimore. I think he stays, and I certainly don't think Harbaugh would come here. But if you hire Harbaugh as your coach, then you're going to lose Bones Fossil as a special teams coach. So when you say retain Bones Fossil at all costs, does that mean, even if it means not getting John Harbaugh to be your coach? Which, by the way, I still can't. I cannot get over what happened Sunday night with Keaton Mitchell running the football instead of Derrick Henry. Idiots. These guys get paid millions of dollars. John Harbaugh may end up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. These guys get paid millions of dollars. And they just stuck Derrick Henry right there on the bench. And it was so bad. It was so disappointing because I am here to tell you, again, you guys don't know what I know. Like, let me just say that. Mike Vrabel never appreciated Derrick Henry to the extent of which Derrick Henry aided that man's career. And Derrick Henry was making him pay for it on Sunday. And then they took him out. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. So, you guys can say what you want about Bones Fossil, but if you really want to keep him, then you probably want Mike McCoy as your next coach. John says, I wouldn't hate McCoy. This team has shown market improvement from when Callahan was fired. I think Mike McCoy's done a pretty good job as an interim coach. Kaharski would get all worked up if they made Mike McCoy the coach. And I think when it comes to Mike McCoy, I think Kaharski doesn't like him because he goes to the press conference, answers the questions with a straight face, but doesn't really answer them. So Kaharski will be like, why'd you decide to go for it then, trying to kind of pick a fight with McCoy. And McCoy will just look at him dead ass in the eyes, basically lie to him or give him some kind of bullshit excuse. And Kaharski feels unfulfilled. And I think he hates that. And then I think he hates the fact that, early on, McCoy was punting and kicking when he should have gone for it because what do you have to lose? And so Kaharski hates McCoy. Hates him. I don't hate McCoy. I mean, I don't love Mike McCoy, but I don't hate him. But I do think that Mike McCoy has done a much better job than Brian Callahan was doing as coach of the Titans. One person says, McCoy's not getting the job. Waste of time. Uh-huh. Okay. Adam in Portland says, I like malarkey, but the words exotic smash mouth was a turnoff for sure. See, that's the shit you can't worry about. That doesn't mean anything. Like, well, he said exotic smash mouth and I didn't like it. How about we worry about what actually happens in football? Malarkey took the captain's patch from Lawan on day one. That was a symbolic gesture by Mike Malarkey to say, we're going to be accountable around here. Like the days of just getting the captain's patch because Ken Wisenhunt likes you, those days are over. Accountability's coming back. Those things matter. I do love the fact that people hated it, exotic smash mouth, and the way that Mike Malarkey wanted to run the football. And they said, we need to unleash Mariota. They are leaving the Ferrari in the garage. And then 2 years later, they're in the AFC Championship game, and it's like, run the ball, Derek! I did say that to Malarkey one time. So I think it's funny. Everybody wanted to run you out of town, and now they run the ball every play with Derrick Henry. And he just chuckled and said, funny how that works, huh? Forrest says that Gray and Peter Skoronski got screwed. I don't know who the other guards were in the AFC. I have no idea on how to judge them. Same with Cedric Gray. Cedric Gray is fine. I think he's a little undersized. He tackles a bunch, which I guess is good. But I don't think Cedric Gray is like an impact game-changing player. I mean, I do think Jeffery Simmons this year has been an impact game-changing all-star player. And I think Chim DK as a punt returner has been an impact game-changing punt returner. I do not think that Cedric Gray or Skoronski have been impact game-changing players, but I also don't know who all the other guys would be, in that mix. I do want to get to this here for a second because it does make me laugh a little bit. So speaking of Sunday Night Football, I have a new quarterback crush. As you all know, I love Tom Brady forever. Then it was Joe Burrow, and I still love Joe Burrow. But now, my new quarterback crush is Drake Maye. Drake Maye is him. That guy you want at quarterback, that guy you want to draft, it's Drake Maye. He's Aaron Rodgers without the drama. He's athletic. He's instinctive. He's accurate. He's got a great arm. He's big. He's everything you want in a quarterback. Absolutely everything. And for Mike Vrabel, if he can keep his ego out of the way, he's going to win a Super Bowl with Drake Maye as his quarterback, maybe as early as this season. If I was starting an NFL team today and could pick any one player in the league, it would be Drake Maye. Patrick Mahomes is north of 30 and injured. Joe Burrow is always injured. And Josh Allen would be pick number 2. Right now, I think Maye is the third best quarterback in the entire NFL behind Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. And unlike those two guys, Drake Maye is 23 years old. Drake Maye is that dude. And I can't help but watching Drake Maye on Sunday night and watching Drake Maye get named to the Pro Bowl and watching Drake Maye carry the Patriots to this great record and to see the balls he throws and his athleticism and everything, to even watch his wife, Ann Michael, every day with a new recipe for Bakemas. It takes me back to one of my favorite Stillman and Company discussions of all time, which was before the 2024 draft, in which we had the, why would you draft Drake Maye when you have Will Levis argument from you people. If you're looking at the screen, you see a tweet, the opening tweet of the program from my old radio show on April 16th of 2024, saying, quote, in the incredibly unlikely scenario that Drake Maye is on the board with the 7th overall pick, the Titans should take him and figure out the rest later. And as you can see, 50 people had to comment and get all upset about it. 36 people had to quote tweet it because they were so mad about it. And the comments were juicy. And before you say something, I just want you to know that in April of 2024, Stillman Company was the #1 program in Nashville, Tennessee from min 2554 from the hours of 2 to 6 in the afternoon. And people were so mad that I would say that, hey, because again, there were rumors coming out that Drake Maye may fall in the draft. And I said, if Drake Maye falls, I'm taking him. Like, I'm taking him at 7. I'll trade Levis. I'll get a second round pick for Levis. I don't care. I'm taking Drake Maye. And people said, Drake Maye, no. In fact, here's a sample of what people had to say. If you're looking at the stream, you can see it. Jerry said, no way would I draft Drake Maye. Jeremy said, Levis is the man. Draft a tackle. Paul said, clickbait. Alan B. Roberts, some people are literal imbeciles. Drake Maye could not lace Will Levis's cleats. Zach said, how do you continue to have the absolute worst takes? It's actually pretty incredible. Chris said, that was the worst take I've heard. No one would pick another quarterback with Levis on the roster. Dude, with takes like this, how has management not pulled your plug? I was embarrassed for your take today, and listen to the other station for a bit. 3 quarterbacks drafted in 3 years? By the way, again, at that point, I had the #1 show. And then the best. Kaharski. As I said a day later, if Drake Maye falls to the Titans at 7, Paul Kaharski says they can't draft a quarterback 3 years in a row. Why not? Kaharski, because they need a roster. So congratulations, Jerry, Jeremy, Paul, Alan, Zach, Chris, and PK. Because of Will Levis, you guys all said, oh, no, Jared, we're too good for Drake Maye. Now, many of you will probably say, you said that for Drake Maye, but you won't say that for Cam. And you are right about that. But here's the difference. I viewed Drake Maye as a top quarterback prospect coming out of college. I did not view Cam as a top quarterback prospect. And this is why you grade players every year. Because you can take the grade of a CJ Stroud and compare it to that of Cam Ward. And then you can decide if you want to draft Cam Ward because you're going to have to beat CJ Stroud. Drake Maye was a better prospect in a deeper class than Cam Ward was. Cam was in a very weak class. Had Cam had the talent of Drake Maye or Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence, I would have endorsed the decision to draft him. But he didn't. And he doesn't. But how about the staunch, Will Levis is better than Drake Maye arguments that you people wanted to go crazy with a year and a half ago? And that's why I'm not worried about what you people will say to me when it comes to Cam and when it comes to running the football team, because I know you people, again, will say things like, Drake Maye can't even lace up Will Levis's cleats. Give me a break. I also love, by the way, how everything that people don't like nowadays is just clickbait. Oh, that's clickbait. You're just saying that to get me to click on it. No, you know what would get you to click on it? If I were to say, Cam Ward's going to be the best quarterback ever, then I'd get every Tennessee Titan fan that would want affirmation to say, yes, yes, yes. And that's just not how I roll. Too funny, though. Shay said, don't bring that up and not bring up your Anthony Richardson take. I agree. Now, I never said Anthony Richardson was, again, for sure going to make it. And I think the Indianapolis Colts have taken probably the worst care of a young quarterback that I've seen in a long, long time. But I would have gotten Anthony Richardson wrong, which, again, that's how this works. Like, the best get it wrong 55% of the or get it right 55% of the time. But I never thought that Drake Maye and Will Levis had the same level of talent. There's a difference. That is wanting to believe something as opposed to actually analyzing the players. I never looked at Will Levis. And again, I thought Levis had a chance. But I never looked at Will Levis and then said, oh, yeah, he's in the same class as Drake Maye. I never felt that way. Joe says, what about Sam Darnold? Should we go to that? Should we go to that one? Yeah, okay. Congratulations to Sam Darnold. Speaking of how I would run the football team, congratulations to Sam Darnold, the Seattle quarterback, currently the quarterback of the best team in the NFL, on being named to the Pro Bowl for the second straight year. And again, just like with Jeffery Simmons and Chimere Dike, this is about being named to the Pro Bowl and not being a replacement for 16 other guys that don't want to go. So for 2 years, Sam Darnold has been named to the original NFC Pro Bowl roster. That means Sam Darnold has been a top 3 quarterback in the NFC in each of the last 2 years. And apparently, in each of those seasons, it's only because of the players and coaches around Sam Darnold, right? Well, guess who didn't have a Pro Bowl player this season? The 7-8 Minnesota Vikings did not have a Pro Bowl player this season. But what about all those great players who made Sam Darnold what he was last year as a 14-win quarterback? Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. You guys told me that Sam was lucky enough to put on his jockstrap in the same locker room as those guys, and that they carried him to a 14-3 record, and that the only reason why Minnesota didn't win more was because Sam Darnold sucked so bad. And yet, none of those guys are going to the Pro Bowl. And then I thought that Sam was only good because he had Kevin O'Connell, who last year was the coach of the year, and surely at 7-8, with J.J. McCarthy playing like absolute dog poop, Kevin O'Connell's going to be named coach of the year again, right? Oh, no, he's not. And this year, people tell me that Sam Darnold only has success because he has Jackson Smith and Jigba on his team, but Jackson Smith and Jigba wasn't Jerry Rice before Sam Darnold showed up. Seattle didn't even make the playoffs last year. So as far as winning is concerned, and as far as the Pro Bowl is concerned, the one constant between the 14-win Vikings last year and the current number 1 seeded Seahawks this year is Sam Darnold. Can I just ask? It's the Christmas season. Can we just all admit, even if it's just a little bit, that Sam Darnold is actually a good quarterback? Can you just admit it? And that you were wrong for thinking that you, the Tennessee Titans, were so much better than Sam Darnold. That Sam Darnold was beneath you. Hell, a lot of you wanted Derek Carr to be the quarterback of the Titans this offseason. Which, by the way, Derek Carr had the same offensive coordinator in New Orleans last year that Sam Darnold has in Seattle, and they had the 21st ranked offense in the NFL. Well, Sam Darnold never wins the big one. Yeah, and neither does Justin Herbert, who hasn't won a playoff game yet in his career. Does he suck? Lamar Jackson doesn't win consistently in the playoffs. And John Elway couldn't win the big one until he did. Peyton Manning at one point had that reputation. And I'm not saying Sam Darnold is John Elway or Peyton Manning. But this idea that because Sam Darnold didn't win a playoff game last year, all of a sudden he sucks, when he keeps getting named to the Pro Bowl, when the teams he goes to keep competing at the top of the NFC, when he leaves one team and they don't have a single Pro Bowler, can really all point to one indisputable fact. And that is that Sam Darnold is good. Just say it. Sam Darnold is good. And as I put in the grid, I said at the end, it's okay, TDG, to admit that you were wrong about Sam Darnold. Fool's Gold is about to show his face just like I said he will. No, he's not. I've always said he's fool's gold and would choke in the playoffs, and now they are here. Let's see. How about this? This is the one thing I'll say when it comes to Darnold. I think we should all agree. If Sam Darnold gets to the NFC Championship game, then you got to give him his due. I mean, I think San Francisco might be the best team in the NFC, and they may win that division. And so Seattle may have to win 2 games to get to the NFC title game. Maybe it's 1. But they're probably going to have to beat the Rams or the 49ers at home in order to get to the NFC title game. If Sam can get to the NFC title game, then how about you give him his due? Jared, how have you not responded to Buck's comments yet? What did Buck say? I don't know what Buck said. I'll just say this. I like Buck. So, again, I don't know what that means about me, but whatever. That's it for us. We are out of here. Great show today. By the way, I will be on Mad Dog Sports Radio this Christmas season, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. tomorrow with Jeff Schwartz, 8 to 11 on Christmas Day, leading into kickoff. That's right. Most people have Netflix, but if you don't have Netflix, all the games are on SiriusXM, and we are your coverage leading into kickoff for Christmas Day. And again, like and subscribe. Maybe back on Friday. Definitely we will be back for postgame live on Sunday. Stillman and Company. We will see everybody after the game for sure on Sunday, right here, 440 Sports, right here on the program. Like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. And if I don't talk to you before then, have a very Merry Christmas.